You're still tuned in to Smart 24 TV. Thank you for the pleasure of your company. Now, moving on with business today, government has been requested to improve Kilembe mines, provide youth in Kasese district with work possibilities and boost production. Many minerals found in the Kilembe mines include cobalt, which sells for more than $50,000 per ton and contributes 2.3% to the GDP. Samuel Chirimunda compiled this report.
Kilembe mines, which once employed over 6,000 people, have been abandoned for the past 8 years. As hundreds of jobs were lost, government of Uganda pledged to restructure its business practices in order to boost mineral exports, including zinc and silver. According to Alex Watambora, president of Geological Society of Uganda, a feasibility study was undertaken between 1995 and 1997, and reserves were estimated to be between 4.1 million and 8 million tons of copper.
There's a very big potential of creating jobs for the young people, for the professionals, and actually that would mean that increased household incomes and development will take place at a faster rate than expected within Uganda, the region, and Africa. So we really need this to create employment and also to increase in our GDP. Of cobalt at Kilembe mines that has not been fully quantified, but we know that there is a lot of cobalt, and the cobalt prices today are more than $50,000 per ton. Actually, they have fallen because it had gone up to 80,000.
Bomera Richard, head of LC3 Bulembia division, claims that government of Uganda delayed modernizing the Kilembe mines since so many issues had already been impacted and more than 6,000 people were working there at the time, so the government didn't see it as an urgency.
Kilembe mines is taken and revamped will be addressed. Number one is the management of the river, because you are aware that Kilembe mines, by the time it was operational, it was the one managing the river, and that is why it is now devastating the lives of the people, because the Kilembe mine is stopped.
Honorable Kabyanga, State Minister for ICT and National Guidance, gave Kasese people assurances that President Museveni had earlier called a cabinet meeting and that he is currently in negotiations with serious Chinese investors to address the issue before resuming operations.
The President recently formed the cabinet that they are very, very serious investors who have approached him. They are Chinese, and he thinks their negotiations should be fast-tracked.
The minister has encouraged residents of Kasese to enroll in science courses so they can gain information, abilities and experience necessary to obtain employment. Many young people will find more employment and be able to work once government renovates the Kilembe mines, which will boost economic growth and help Uganda deal with its public debt out of revenue generated from different minerals. Bronia Katsime, Samuel Chirimunda, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Oh, well, thank you there for that report. Now, in a bid to support small-scale farmers facing limited access, various players emphasize application of scientific irrigation practice, hence enabling continuous food productivity. MAIF is looking for the adoption of digital irrigation as they source from funds for supportive organizations to facilitate these practices.
Following the President's order for small-scale farmers to use methodical irrigation procedures to boost food yields, even though Uganda has more than 15% of its territory underwater, the northern part of the country continues to experience drought. Several stakeholders have come together to fund scientific irrigation activities and projects. By 2025, irrigation-related water storage will have increased from 52.48 million cubic meters in 2021-2022 to 76.82 million cubic meters.
Here, the government aims to increase the area of arable land and agricultural production from the current 8.3 million to about 12.1 million hectares in the next 5 years, and to increase water storage for irrigation from 52.48 million cubic meters in the year 2021-22 to 76.82 million cubic meters by the year 2025.
Various projects are being set to support smart agriculture with an estimated financing of 400,000 euros for sub-Saharan countries through ASERECA. This involvement focuses on enhancing water storage and distributing systems, implementing modern irrigation technologies, and promoting capacity building initiatives.
Virtual Irrigation Academy. This project aims at supporting irrigation farmers to make informed decisions about irrigation. It promotes the use of what we call digital sensors. These particular sensors are buried in the soil and connected to a Wi-Fi reader, so that when a farmer connects the reader to these sensors, they're able to see a signal. It can either be red, it means that if it is red, it means that there is no water in the soil and so the farmer needs to irrigate immediately. If it is green, it means that there is enough water in the soil and so the farmer should maybe plan to irrigate after 2 or 3 days. But if it is blue, it means there's too much water in the soil. And so these particular tools have been very, very useful to our farmers. They have helped them to improve their productivity.
Through satellite technology, farmers will be able to analyze soil texture and receive recommendations on whether soil in a particular farm needs boosting with fertilizers and manure to obtain better yields as part of the digitization of irrigation.
Maize farming, which feeds and employs 75% of the population in the region, and of course it is an inevitable part of our work, and as part of our science-based approach we consider climate impact on maize production, but also nature resources spanning water and forestries, and this knowledge we also bring into our science-based platforms such as national and regional policy dialogues, where we merge this with other information related to agricultural and economic production.
According to a study made by Water for Wealth and Food Security, expanding the use of smallholder water management techniques and encouraging farmer-driven investment in agricultural water management may boost yields up to 300% in some situations and improve household income in sub-Saharan Africa by tens of billions.
We've trained people from NARO, we've also trained people from the Ministry of Water and Environment, and also colleagues from Ministry of Agriculture, and we continue to train more people so that we can be able to engage more in some of these sites, so that we can actually reach the level of the small-scale farmer and show them how they can get the data from space to improve their farms and make more money, livelihoods, and save Africa.
In order to increase food productivity and resilience in the face of drought issues, more coordinated efforts are required to increase water storage capacity, enhance irrigation infrastructure, and enable small-scale farmers to adopt sustainable irrigation practices. Martha Nimsima, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Now, in conjunction with that, and even with the limited data of ICT usage in agriculture, the transformative potential of ICTs in improving agricultural practices, enhancing productivity, and empowering farmers is increasingly recognized. These efforts are being made to promote digital inclusion and ICT adoption among farming communities worldwide. Martha Nimsima interacted with Ziko Mudimu, the head of operations, Digital Earth Africa, on the digital inclusion in agriculture. Let's have a look at this.
Thank you very much, Ronah and Nahabwe, and thank you our viewers for keeping us on Smart 24 TV. Well, Uganda is known for being an agriculture-driven country. Well, this sector is still having a little loopholes in terms of development and productivity. This is not because of our land sector and everything. There is something with development we are not yet looking at. Well, some of those questions are going to be answered with our very own Ziko Mudimu, Head of Operations, Digital Earth Africa. You're most welcome.
Hi, my name is Ziko Mudimu. I am the Head of Operations for Digital Earth Africa. I work in South Africa, which is where the head office is for our organization. We have team members though who are in Kenya, who are in Rwanda, who are in Ghana. We work across the continent though. We have different partners. One of them is here in Uganda, and that is ASERECA, who are based in Kampala. Other partners that are as part of our partners, they work in Tunisia, they work in Senegal, in Nigeria, in Niger, in Kenya, and of course in South Africa as well. One of the goals that Digital Earth Africa has is to provide public infrastructure of Earth observation data that supports the entire continent. Through these partnerships, people are able to access Earth observation data, which is satellite images that go back more than 30 years. You're able to use this information for different applications around agriculture, around water management, around climate change. All of this really lets you work in these areas and understand what have the impacts been over time. Our goal in particular over the next few years is around supporting climate action that countries might have through the national adaptation plans. We also want to make sure that we are embedding in Africa, creating more partnerships, supporting more people, and we really want to grow our user base. So we have a lot of people that we want to train. We want to train over 25,000 people on how to use our platform to be able to access the data that they may need. We really look forward to engaging more with people in Uganda especially. We have different programs that are in place and that we're looking to grow. And so we look forward to partnering with you.
Glad for all the farmers seeing this, they'll get to know that you have made their life of information access very easy, and also for things like weather forecasting, they're now really easy for them. Though I want to ask, isn't there a problem of digital literacy? Because see, it is ICT, it is tech we are talking to, and some of these farmers are illiterate. Some of these farmers are in remote areas. How are you managing digital literacy?
So digital literacy is actually, it's a big problem that we're trying to solve for. And we definitely do understand it. So we actually have one of our focuses around capacity development and training. And so making sure that we train people to understand how to use the data in order for the uses that they have. And this is also where the opportunity is quite exciting, especially going into the future for young people. So young people now can actually participate in agriculture, not just as farmers, but they can actually do it from a computer. So many people, especially many young people, are no longer interested so much in using their hands, being in the fields, but they can still contribute to the agricultural sector. And this is what we're actually hoping to change within Africa, is by encouraging young people, use platforms like this, support the agriculture in where you're from, to be able to develop different applications. Because what we know is that the needs of Africa need to be stated by Africans and worked on by Africans. And by developing capacity and training of young people, they're able to come up with the solutions for the future.
So with the moving years, we see very many things coming up because of AI. We've realized now there are robots everywhere. You can use your phone to do anything. You can ask Google anything and they provide it to you. Besides the digital format and everything, how are you supporting these countries in terms of projects, in terms of funding?
Yeah, so we actually support, we have a partnership in Uganda right now with Azareka.
Yeah.
And this organization has actually helped, we've supported them to go into different countries across the continent. Okay. We've worked in Uganda itself to understand the needs of the agricultural sector of farmers in Uganda. We've also started work in Ethiopia, in Kenya, in Rwanda, in Botswana, and in South Africa. So, and this is just a pilot project. We're looking to expand that even more. So once we've now, at the end of May, 31st of May, we're actually going to be doing a report back. So we encourage your viewers, if they are in Kampala, to actually come and join us. We'd love for them to actually see what we report back around the needs that we have understood from the meetings and the workshops that we've had so far. Okay. What we want is to then be able to start engaging. We want to have training workshops, developing capacity, and encouraging people to start using the platform here in Uganda. Yes. So it's the report back, as I said, is on 31st of May, but thereafter we're looking for that engagement to go much further.
Yes. So as you go to these farmers, as you visit these farmers, do you really target, because you know digital is really expensive. Yeah. How about the small scale farmer? Who are your target farmers besides you being sure that it's Digital Earth Africa, we're coming for farmers? But which farmers are you targeting, for example?
Well, so the farmers themselves, in terms of accessing the platform, it might not be the most useful. What I would actually suggest, what we are working with is researchers, is companies who are developing phone applications that the farmers can then use.
Yes.
And that's exactly where we want to work with. But what's most important for us is to understand what that the farmers need in the first place. So we don't want to start developing an application that, for me, I'm sitting in South Africa and I think that this is the application that's useful. And that's why we need the farmers to play an important role in creating that value chain. When farmers are able to tell us exactly what they need, we're able to then make sure that the platform is able to support it.
So through AI, how are you trying to mitigate climate change risks?
So climate change is actually a very hard to understand and to observe issue. So what we're actually doing to support climate change and to understand it better is Digital Earth Africa as a platform has images that go back over 30 years. So you can, on the 18th of May, you can actually, in 2023 is today, but 10 years ago, you could actually, in 2013, 18th of May, what did this place look like? What did the weather look like? What did the vegetation look like? Then you compare it to 10 years prior to that, in 1993, for example, or 2003 as well. You're able to then see that how has climate change affected, what was the rainfall patterns like, what was what did the lakes look like at those different points in time. So that helps you to actually then understand how has climate change actually really affected affected areas. One of the examples that we can give is actually, it's from Botswana, but it's actually very relevant. It's around the Okavango Delta. And in the Okavango Delta, there was a water body that we wanted to observe and it was a researcher observing it over 3 years, and to see how it has changed over time. And this is really, really important information because she was able to write a research paper to show how climate change has changed this lake.
Yes.
And this is what the power that we actually want to give to people. They're able to observe what has happened with climate change. They're able to then suggest things that need to be done to mitigate it.
Yes.
So that's what we're looking towards doing.
Which is really a good thing, because a farmer would know, this coming month, let me prepare for drought, let me prepare for mudslides or anything. But at the moment, we're having a lot of problems affecting our farmers. In Masaka region, for example, there are mudslides. So with the digital inclusion, would they in case they had the apps on their phones, in case they had researched or something, had they known that, would they be ready by now? They wouldn't have the problems with them. Is it true?
So they might not know to be able to predict for the future.
Yeah.
However, one of the applications for us that we can actually support is around disaster
preparedness.
Disaster relief, actually, is to understand what is the damage in that area. So, for example, in that area, you might struggle to know what is the full area where people have been affected. Using the tools of the Digital Earth Africa platform, you're actually able to measure it very quickly, to say these are all it's this number of square kilometers that are affected, and therefore when disaster agencies are going in, they know immediately where it is that they need to support.
Okay. Give me one of the biggest results you've gotten whenever you're doing this research or something. What have you found out is affecting, is still making our agriculture sector still lay low, not really a higher position?
Yes. So actually it's a very recent result that we just discussed. There was a young man from Michael Jurua, who was from Makerere University, and he recently actually did a project that focused on the effects of urbanization on a forest.
Okay.
And he actually was able to identify that in one of the forests in Uganda, forgive me, I can't remember specifically what forest it is, but he was able to actually identify where there's logging that hadn't been registered or anything like that. It was 20 kilometers from any area, from the road, and he actually went and he used our platform to be able to identify it.
Okay.
And this is the power of it, right? So there was no way that anyone would have known that 20 kilometers into a forest that there's logging going on, but he was able to do it. He actually visited the site himself to validate and to make sure that this is truly happening. And he's already now publishing the results for it.
Yes.
And so that's the power of what we're providing, is that information that used to be very difficult to get because you needed to have a lot of people on the ground who are surveying, who are making sure what this forest would look like. Now you can do it at your desk in a matter of minutes. You can identify this, and then you can actually solve for the problem.
Besides easing the work,
yes,
don't you feel like you're reducing jobs for people? Because by then, our researcher would come with other two researchers, but now it's only, one person can go to the forest, find out the problem there, and just give us feedback. How would you make still the digital transformation a better opportunity for other farmers?
So digital transformation is around changing the economy for the future,
yes,
correct?
Yes.
And so when you're changing the economy for the future, we are digitizing things. So we're creating jobs in the digital realm.
Okay.
And that's what's most important. So it would be great to have lots of people on the ground who are trying to search to see where logging is. But imagine if you have the power of people sitting at computers, understanding what's going on, and then action can be taken. It saves a lot of cost to the government. Yes, from a jobs perspective, you might see that there's a bit of a risk. However, the money that government is using to solve problems, is very targeted and is not going into wasteful expenditure.
Yes, as we conclude, I want your projection of how agriculture sector is going to look in the next 5 years if we use digital the right way.
So if we use Digital Earth Africa in the future, in the next 5 years, what's going to actually be very amazing is you're going to have a group of people who are supporting agriculture from a digital and technical perspective. That sector is going to grow in many, many ways. And then thereafter, you're going to see farmers being able to farm in a very direct way that allows them to actually save their money. They'll be able to plan for the future. They'll be able to plan for each season, forecast exactly what their yield is going to be. They'll know exactly. So imagine as a farmer, imagine this is the case. At the start of the season, you're able to estimate what your yield is going to be, how much money you're going to get from that yield. Within 2 weeks, 2 months, you can do a new estimation to say that I've actually prepared this amount of field. This is now what my yield is expectation. So you can imagine the outputs that they'll be getting. They'll be getting a lot more information. And that whole economy that supports them will be growing. So you now have people who are using our data to actually find this information, to be able to put it onto an electronic platform. That electronic platform creates work for people who are designing the work and making sure that it's supporting people properly. The farmers themselves are actually getting better yields because they're actually understanding their agricultural system better. They're able to then, from a government perspective, government is able to know throughout the country what are the yields going to look like. What is the total output going to be for the country, and that allows people to grow. And that is the ecosystem that we are looking to be a key part of as Digital Earth Africa.
Well, it has been a great insight from Digital Earth Africa, one of the key preparators of having our agriculture sector green and smart and digital. Well, in the next 5 to 10 years, if our farmers and if our leaders allow them to embrace and give them enough funds to have their farms digitized, to have all their products accessible online, this is going to help them increase their productivity, it's going to help them increase their revenue, and it's also going to help them have farm and smart agriculture.
Thank you so much, Martha Nimsima, for that great conversation. I think smart agriculture is the way to go. Of course, it is only done when it is said, and implementation will start from just that plan. We really hope that farmers, considering that agriculture is the biggest earning sector for the country, that farmers in the country embrace this new technology and they use it to the best of their advantage. Now, moving on with business today, we are coming to the beginning of the end. Officials in Kabale municipality have opposed a directive by the IGG to halt and termination of the contract of Multiplex Construction Limited on Uganda to support the municipal infrastructure development project roads. Robert Ndiamhachi compiled this report, and let's have a look.
Multiplex Company Limited was contracted in May 2021 to tarmac a 0.76 kilometer Wankosa Road, a 0.34 kilometer Bushenkwire Road, and a 2.47 kilometer road that connects Kabale headquarters to Katuna Kabale Mbara Highway. The project is worth 21.7 billion shillings and is funded by World Bank, with completion initially expected in May 2022. The contractor is also implementing similar projects in Tungamo and Mbara municipalities at a cost of 54 4 billion shillings. In a letter dated May 15, 2023, Patricia Achan, Deputy IGG, directed Kabale, Tungamo and Barra municipality authorities to suspend charging liquidated damages and terminate contracts awarded to a company. Further communication from the same office is awaited. Achan confirmed directive stating that Inspector General of Government has initiated investigations following a complaint logged by contractor alleging mistreatment by municipality authorities.
The design of the road was to be done by the district officials, and they needed to have done due diligence before. But now they're saying they want to terminate the contract because of the delay, which delay they caused themselves. So for us, we are doing an investigation. I've asked them to hold any activity on it. We investigate and find out who exactly is responsible for the delay.
Emmanuel Center of Yamjisha, Kabale Municipality Mayor, on Thursday afternoon received a copy of a letter directing them neither to terminate the contract nor demand for liquidated damages from contractor. Byamjisha described directive as unfortunate and a cohesion and collusion between contractor and the office of the IGG.
When the President visited the Bishop of Shoroza and he pledged to upgrade Shoroza Road to Tabak, it has been coming on board but not implemented. After getting this chance of implementing a presidential pledge, the contractor we are having is seen to be protected by some of the structures of government, some officials from government who should be, by the way, pushing this contractor to execute the works and the finishing time.
Locals in areas where the project is being implemented are not satisfied with the progress, for they have so far given up on its progress and productivity.
As far as this project also is concerned, we are excited. I must say, we are heavily excited and we are deeply indebted about this project. But unfortunately, somewhere we lost morale to the extent that among the people, among the beneficiaries here around, they have somehow, even though they see people working, they have somehow given up.
According to the contractor Moses Bosa, several challenges have affected their capability to deliver in time.
The consultant is a delay in acquiring the NEMA permit to start operating the quarry, the stone quarry. As you see on the financial progress, the biggest value lies in the stone base, the top layers, and the asphalt, which we could not start. We could not start them until we got the NEMA certification.
As government recognizes significance of well-maintained roads, it is clear that investing in infrastructure is not only a necessity but also a catalyst, for it lays foundation for a thriving economy. Bronya Katsime, Norbert Ndiamhachi, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Well, many thanks to Bronya Katsime and Norbert Ndiamhachi for that report. This is pretty much what we had for you today on Business Today. Thank you, as always, for the pleasure of your time. You're such a good audience. I'm Ronah Nahabwe with Winnie Buyinza Naka watching the sign language interpretation. If you missed any of these stories, you could watch on our YouTube channel at Smart 24 TV Live, and also follow on our social media platforms for more informative and business news that go around the region. Thank you so much and good evening.